What if your dog isn't here by accident? What if, out of every moment in your life, out of every path you could have taken, something greater made sure this one soul found you? Not just any dog. This one. The one who sleeps near you, who watches you, who somehow always knows when something is wrong before you've said a single word, because here's what science has discovered and what ancient wisdom has always known. The bond between a human and their dog is unlike anything else that exists on this earth. Not similar to other bonds. Unlike anything else. And when you understand why, you'll never look at your dog the same way again. Let's go back. All the way back. In ancient Egypt, the god Anubis, guardian of the dead, wore the head of a jackal. Dogs didn't just roam the streets of ancient Egypt, they stood at the threshold between life and death. They were the ones trusted to guide souls safely through the darkness into whatever came next. Not priests or angels. Dogs. Because even then, thousands of years before science, people understood that these creatures carried something sacred, something that could be trusted with the most important journey a soul ever takes. In Native American traditions, dogs were spirit guides, protectors of the tribe not just from physical danger, but from spiritual harm. They were believed to sense what human eyes couldn't see, to warn of energies that hadn't taken shape yet. And in Celtic mythology, dogs were the companions of healers, present at sacred springs, believed to carry the power of restoration in their very touch. Now ask yourself something. Why would cultures that never met, separated by oceans and centuries and language and belief, all arrive at the exact same conclusion? That dogs are more than animals, that they stand at a crossing point between the human world and something deeper. That is not coincidence. That is a truth so old it found its way into every corner of the earth independently, because it needed to be known. And then consider this. The word dog, spelled backward, is God. Some people smile at that and move on, but others feel something when they hear it. A recognition. Because when you live with a dog, when you really pay attention, you start to notice that everything we say, God is, a dog simply is. Unconditional love. Forgiveness without being asked. Loyalty that doesn't depend on your worthiness. Presence that never abandons. You can leave a dog alone for 8 hours and come home to the same celebration you'd receive if you'd been gone a year. You can lose your temper, and an hour later, they're resting their head in your lap as if nothing happened. No grudge, no withdrawal of love, no punishment. Just forgiveness. Just return. Just love exactly as it was before. If a human loved us that way, we'd call it extraordinary. We'd write poems about it. We'd search for it in our whole lives. And yet it's been lying at your feet this whole time. Have you ever come home on the worst day of your life, the kind of day where everything feels heavy and wrong and you don't even know where to begin? And before you've said a word, before you've explained anything to anyone, your dog was already there, already pressed against you, already doing that thing they do where they just stay quiet and steady. Like they've decided they're not moving until you feel better. They didn't learn that. Nobody taught them that. It comes from somewhere deeper than training, somewhere deeper than instinct. There are dogs who have detected cancer before any doctor could find it, sensing something in the body's chemistry that no machine had identified yet. There are dogs who have woken sleeping families before a fire reached the bedroom. There are dogs who sensed a seizure coming and positioned themselves so their person wouldn't fall alone. No command or training for that specific moment. Just a knowing, a love so attuned to its person that it became something almost impossible to explain. In Tibetan Buddhism, dogs are considered protectors against negative spiritual energy. In early Christianity, they were symbols of faithfulness and watchful devotion. Across the world, across faith traditions that agree on almost nothing else, there is this quiet agreement. Dogs see things we don't. They feel things before we do. They stand guard over something in us that we can't always protect ourselves. Have you ever watched your dog growl at an empty corner of a room, or refuse to enter a space that seemed perfectly normal to you, or react to a person with sudden unease before that person had done anything to earn it? Most people brush it off. But most spiritual traditions would tell you to pay attention, because your dog may be more awake to what surrounds you than you realize. And then there is what dogs teach us just by being alive. We spend fortunes on therapy, on self-help, on retreats and books and guided meditations trying to learn how to be present. How to stop dragging the past into every moment. How to stop fearing the future. How to simply be here, in this breath, in this room, in this life. Your dog woke up this morning and did all of it naturally. No anxiety about what happened last week. No dread about what might happen tomorrow. Just this walk, just this smell, just this moment of sunshine on the floor. Just this person right in front of them, who is, as far as they're concerned, the entire world. That is not a small thing to witness every day. That is a teacher living in your home, demonstrating what full presence looks like, without any agenda, without expecting you to understand. Some spiritual teachers believe that certain souls choose their lives before they arrive, that the relationships that matter most, the ones that shape us, that crack us open, that heal something we didn't even know was broken, those were agreed upon before the first breath. Soul contracts, chosen meetings. What if your dog was one of those? What if the animal who arrived in your life at the exact moment they did, who bonded with you in the exact way they did, who has stayed beside you through whatever you've carried, what if none of that was random? What if they knew you needed exactly what they had to give? Because there is something undeniable about a dog who finds their person. The rescue who was passed over again and again until one specific human walked through the door. The puppy who ignored everyone in the litter and made a beeline for the one person in the room who was quietly falling apart on the inside and didn't know it yet. The old dog at the shelter, the one everyone overlooked, who somehow ended up exactly where they needed to be. These moments happen too often, too precisely, to feel entirely like chance. There is another thing that rarely gets talked about. What dogs do not just for the people who own them, but for the world around them. Think about what happens when a dog enters a room full of strangers. Walls come down. People who wouldn't have spoken to each other start speaking. Someone bends down to pet them, and suddenly there is a conversation, a laugh, a moment of connection that wouldn't have existed without that dog walking through the door. Dogs dissolve the invisible barriers that humans spend their whole lives constructing around themselves. The armor we wear in public, the performance of being fine, the distance we keep because closeness feels too risky. A dog doesn't recognize any of that armor. They walk straight through it. Researchers studying social connection have found that dog owners are significantly more likely to meet their neighbors, form friendships, and report feeling a sense of community than people without dogs. Not slightly more likely, significantly. The dog becomes a bridge between isolated human beings who were standing just feet from each other and never finding their way across. Spiritually, this is not a small thing. Almost every wisdom tradition points to disconnection from each other, from ourselves, from the divine, as the root of human suffering. Then here is this creature who undoes disconnection simply by existing, simply by being joyful and open and unguarded in a world that has forgotten how to be any of those things. And what about the loyalty? Because nothing in the human experience prepares you for the loyalty of a dog. Most of us have been let down by people we trusted completely, by relationships we believed were permanent, by versions of the world we were told we could count on. Betrayal leaves a mark that doesn't fully fade. It teaches us, slowly and painfully, to hold something back, to love with one hand open and one hand ready. And then you watch your dog wait by the door every single day at the same time, because that is when you come home. Even on the days you're late, even on the days you forget. They are there, certain, patient, believing without any evidence that you are coming, that you always come, that you would never not come. That kind of faith is rare in this world. There is a story most dog lovers know. Hachiko, the Japanese Akita who waited at Shibuya train station every day for his owner who had died. He waited for 9 years. Every single day. Until he died at the same spot. A statue of him still stands at that station. People leave flowers. They cry when they see it, even if they've never had a dog, because something in that story reaches into a part of the human heart that recognizes it immediately. That is what faithfulness looks like when it has no conditions attached to it. And if you have a dog in your life, you are living with that level of devotion right now. Not in a history book, not in a statue, in your home, following you from room to room, waiting for you, choosing you every day without question. Do not take that lightly. Not everyone in this world has been chosen like that. And what about loss? Because we cannot talk about what dogs mean without sitting with the grief of losing them. Anyone who has loved a dog and lost them knows that there is a particular silence that follows, a shape in the room where they used to be. The grief surprises people with its size. They feel almost embarrassed by how much it weighs, but it weighs exactly as much as the love did, and the love was real. Completely, entirely real. And many people believe that what a dog leaves behind isn't nothing. That the love they gave you, the patience they modeled, the safety they created, the joy they reflected back at your worst moments, all of that lives on. Not just in memory, in who you became while they were with you, in the ways you learned to forgive faster because they showed you how, in the ways you learned to be more present because they never stopped being present with you. They change us, and the changed version of us carries them forward, always. So here's the question worth sitting with. Why did this dog come into your life? Was it to protect you from something you never saw coming? Was it to heal something that had been broken so long you'd forgotten what whole felt like? Was it to teach you what unconditional love actually looks like when it has no agenda, no conditions, no fine print? Or maybe it was something even simpler and even more profound than all of that. Maybe they came to remind you on the ordinary Tuesday mornings and the long, hard nights and the quiet in-between moments that you are loved, that you are seen, that something in this universe decided you were worth showing up for, because that is what they do. Every single day, without fail, without question, without anything asked in return, they show up for you, and maybe, just maybe, that is the most sacred thing of all. If your dog has ever touched your soul in a way that words can barely hold, share your story in the comments. We would love to hear it. And if this message found you at the right moment, like this video and subscribe to stay with me, because there is more here waiting for the people who need it.